You start.
So, welcome to the ninth episode of Hands Up, and whoever is listening to it for the first time, the brief idea behind Hands Up was to have interesting conversations and document them. Like I have the hobby of clicking pictures, but there's no real way to click a picture of a conversation. So randomly, I started recording. Interesting conversations, mostly about books. But for the first time, we are going to talk about a TV show. And essentially, if you look at it from a broader perspective, it's all storytelling, it's all about stories. Stories which shock us or show us something about something unique about the surroundings in which we live in. So today I have Debasmita, who is currently working as an analyst with Khan Academy, and she has done a lot of work in this education space, and she holds a degree in public policy from Azim Premji University. So welcome, Devasmita, and yeah, can you tell us about the show which we are going to talk about?
Thank you so much, Nitesh. So, hi everyone. And before I start talking about the show, I want to thank Nitesh for not only calling me to this podcast, but also engaging me in entertaining conversations throughout the time we have known each other. So, yes, my name is Debasmita, and in short, everybody calls me Devo. And I want to talk a little bit about this show that we are talking about. So, most of you would know it. It's on news, it's on articles, it's on podcasts, it's just everywhere. It's the show that we are talking about is Adolescence from Netflix. And yes, so we all know that Adolescence is a show which kind of caught our attention, and now the show is being shown in schools, maybe not in India because I think it's a little too dark for Indian palate, but show is crazy popular right now. Let me start with the fact that it's not a show about who done it, but it's a show about why done it. So basically, you'll not have any spoilers per se,
Yeah,
because
we were talking about it.
yeah,
Like, by the way, which country is showing this in this one?
it's in UK.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's in
Because
UK.
even the show is set in UK, I guess.
It's set in UK, and I think one of the trademark of English shows is it's very short. If it were an American show, this would have been 24 episodes minimum.
Yeah, like House of Cards is actually, by the way, 20-minute episodes, 3 seasons.
Hmm.
But when Americans made it, it became 1 hour episodes with 4 seasons.
Yeah. And I think a show like Adolescence, this is the perfect length to show exactly what we want to see without boring you, right?
Yeah,
So going ahead with the show, so we all know who done it. It's about an adolescent boy, a 12, 13-year-old boy who had been accused of killing his classmate in the first few minutes of the show. And then we later realize through the first episode that he is the one who killed. Now the whole show is about why did he kill, and we also see throughout the show how it affected his surroundings. So we have an episode about around his school, we have an episode around the how the police, the detectives feel, the people who are involved within the legal system feel, and then there is a whole episode dedicated to the family, the parents, the sister, and everything. So I think there wouldn't be a better summary of the show than this, and we'll talk more about through our discussions.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It's all about why he did it, and it has sort of morphed into some conversation about how guys are unable to express themselves or something of that sort. Though I feel the real victim is a girl who died. Um, but there is, see, whenever a show or a piece of art or a song or anything becomes so viral, it has a sense of shock value, or maybe it has an aesthetic value. I don't know. I can't find a example for the aesthetic value because we tend to forget those things. But when there is a shock value, you tend to remember it.
I
Uh,
think adolescence had that darkly themed aesthetic value as well because of the single shot and the simplistic architecture of the small town and everything. So, at the first glance of the show, definitely there is an aesthetic value, but that kind of contributes to the eeriness of the whole drama that unfolds throughout, right?
Yeah, I mean, it totally shocked me, but did it actually shock you? Or so, for context, Devasmita has also worked with kids through a foundation called Parikrama, and she has seen a lot of troubled kids. Um, so I was like actually very curious. Did it actually shock you, or what was so shocking to you about
To be
this?
very honest, it was not shocking.
Uh,
It is not something new that I have come across. When I say not the killing part is completely separate, but the whole psyche behind it, that is not something that new, nothing new that I've come across. It made me think for days. It made me contemplate about a lot of things. It was not shocking, but it definitely affected me.
how did it affect you?
Um, so many things, like it can be, if you want to talk about it, it can be split into so many topics, right? The first thing was me as a person who is completely untrained in psychology or child psychology. I was thrown into an atmosphere where I had come across so many kids like this. Maybe at 23 years old, when I was doing this, that came as a shock to me, that how can be parents doing this to their children, or how do children like this coming to a normal school. So at that point it was a shock, but then now the more that I see my work with these kids, then I think how the society is changing to fuel the psychology of these kind of children more and more towards perversion, especially children who come from homes that are not supportive or environments that are not supportive. So that is one of the things that I contemplated about. But that is also not something that I can help with much, because a child psychologist would be in the best position to do so. The second thing definitely is the influence of social media, right? Because if you would have seen the series, you listen to a lot of terms which are very social media popular in the Gen Z and then Gen Alpha kind of thing. And obviously, we are not Gen Zs, so we did not grow up with these kind of things. The third thing is also about men's mental health. Uh, why I'm saying men's mental health, because as young boys, when they show any kind of emotions, usually the society tells them that don't cry like a girl, or don't, sorry for the expletive, but don't be a pussy, things like that, right? So yeah, so I think men's mental health get affected a lot. A boy's mental health get affected a lot, and when they are not acceptable of things like this, especially when it comes from a woman, which we see in this series, that the girl was provoking him.
Hmm.
Obviously, he did not take it well. Um, so there are major three themes that I thought about, but I think we can take it up one by one, and then explore it from the light of what series has provided and not go into deeper themes maybe.
So what are these three layers which you're talking about?
Hmm. Let me start with the men's mental health thing.
Hmm.
One of the things that we see in the series is the father, right?
Hmm.
The father has been a major character apart from the boy throughout the 4 episodes.
Hmm.
And we see this guy as a very tough exterior man of the household kind of thing. And then as the episodes go on, we see his personality unraveling. I think in the last episode, he said that his father used to physically abuse him a lot. He promised himself that he will not do this to his kids.
Hmm.
And for some reason, he was in conflict that should he have been more strict with his child, or should he have been should he had been more loving towards the child. Where did he go wrong that the child became like that? But throughout it also, he was not able to express his emotions very fruitfully except the very last scene.
Yeah.
So I think in this society, men are not brought up in a way that whatever they're thinking or whatever they're doing, somebody's there to validate their emotions and they do things the right way. And I think this kind of conflict gives rise to a lot of, um, I wouldn't say problems, but a lot of traumas that men or in continuation women they are related with suffer.
Yeah, we were talking about that overlapping levels of shame, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, like his father didn't do anything overtly wrong.
Hmm.
Like he didn't beat up the child like how his father had beaten him up. But I mean, through the course of the show, we learn that, when the child was failing in football or some wrestling or some other activity which was considered to be manly, uh, when the child was failing, like the father was almost ashamed, like he was looking the other side, rather than validating the experience or saying, yes, come on, next time you can do it. Maybe I don't even know if the child got a second chance to excel in those domains.
I don't think even the father was well equipped to handle his own emotions that way.
Yeah, because I mean, if you also look at the profession of the father, he was a plumber.
Hmm.
Like he was not some university educated guy with liberal arts, etc., etc. Though you feel that okay, education system in UK might have been better or something. Um, like I think that was the first level of shame, layer of shame. And on top of that, he was not like a well-built, tall student or something like. I mean, he had a level of shame that he was not attractive, physically attractive. Though I don't find him ugly as such. He was like probably average. I mean, he was like
I mean,
good
you don't
looking.
find him ugly, or I don't find him ugly, but you also have to see again the social media part of it,
Yeah,
right? He wouldn't be considered the most hunkiest of guys.
yeah, not hot.
Yeah,
Maybe just forgettable. Maybe.
yeah.
And on top of that, like he learns all of this social media thing about 80% of the women. What was it?
80% of the women mesh with 20% of the men, things like that.
Yeah, what was manosphere or whatever?
Yeah. It's one of those dating app things, right? You know, like top 2% of men, and then rest 80% of women compete for each other, and the rest
Yeah,
are in drains.
some. That's what I think. It's disproportionate attention. I think, but on the contrary, I think women like they get a lot of I don't know matches or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, so he had three layers of shame. One was his own failure in physical activities. Second was his own perception of his, desirability. And lastly, the perception that a guy like him would not be chosen by women. And one of the girls actually, made fun of that as well, I guess.
Do you think there is this one, I wouldn't say layer, but there is this one contributing factor also, the kind of people he surrounded himself with in school?
Yeah,
His friends were also in the similar category. So
yeah.
basically, nobody was providing each other validation or support that way at all. And just in, bro kind of thing, they were actually instigating each other to take revenge on these kind of women. You saw that part where the his friend only provided him the knife to scare the woman, right?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
So the people around him, like his friends, I'm not talking about parents, the friends were also not helping with his cause at all. They kind of
Hmm.
validated ki, okay, you are ugly or you are whatever, but you go and threaten that girl.
And obviously, there's no thought further, right? Like after threatening, it doesn't mean that she's going to start liking you.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Bollywood has, I'm sure that they are not watching Bollywood movies, but
uh,
if you pull that context here, Bollywood has kind of destroyed the perception that there also. If you see, not only school kids, I would say more so in our generation of people, one of the most popular ways of trying to get a girl to like them was actually stalking them or bullying
yeah, I
them and
mean,
things like
what
that.
was that movie with Dhanush?
Ranjana,
Yeah, like I didn't watch the movie, but I understand that the guy keeps on stalking further, further.
you go watch any older Shah Rukh Khan movie, it's the same storyline. He'll
Yeah,
stalk, a little bit of, harassment here and there, and suddenly the girl likes. I think that has been the trend in Hollywood movies. Wherever you go at certain point in time,
Hollywood or Bollywood?
Hollywood as well,
Huh.
long, long back, a little bit. You watch a lot of movies from the 80s, 70s. There is a little bit of inappropriateness involved there as well.
Hmm.
But Bollywood still continues to do so. But with the advent of new age social media, somehow it has started happening again.
Yeah. And whatever you're saying about men not expressing themselves, or rather being discouraged from expressing themselves, um, it seems to be somewhat universal. Like it's not restricted to UK or India or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, that
It's
was,
hard to come across guys, and I mean it in no disrespectful way, it's just a society, but it's definitely hard to come across guys, women as well, who are very, very secure of themselves, who are very whatever is happening around them, they are like, I am secure with myself, I will not disturb others and things like that.
no, in terms of guys or women.
Here we are talking about guys, but
Huh?
trying to keep it gender neutral. I can be jailed tomorrow. But yeah, it's there. As humans,
Hmm.
it's very rare to come across secure people. With men more so because of all the societal standards that has been set already.
Yeah, and you said you were not shocked, right, at the beginning because you've already seen kids like this.
I was
Uh,
definitely not shocked. The shock value, I think, came more from the very, very intense, well acted things that happened in the later episodes.
the third episode.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but I'm still curious. What kind of kids did you encounter in your days as a?
I so
Were you a special educator or something?
I was not a special educator, and that's why in the beginning only I said that I'm not very well placed to talk about the
Cycle.
child
Ah,
psychology part. But I can talk about my experience for sure.
ah.
I was not a special educator. I used to teach English grammar to the little kids, and I used to teach social sciences to the senior kids because my bachelor's had social science in it.
Hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, so I will tell you the a couple of instances. So I when I started in the beginning, I was the class teacher of class 3, and Class 3 kids are young, right? They, when you imagine a class 3 child, you imagine playfulness, you imagine unfiltered childishness and everything. I remember this guy in my class. I remember his name. I wouldn't say his name. Um, he came off as a very striking child. I'll tell you why. He was very good in studies for class 3, and especially I had an idea of what kind of background these children come from, so I did not expect that they will be good in studies. When I mean good in studies, as in they had English nailed in class 3, they could write proper sentences in English in class 3. Being from and the children were mostly from Tamil or basically immigrant um slums in Bangalore, right? This child had English nailed, this child had math nailed, was capable of doing pretty good in studies, but he wouldn't. So when testing unit tests and things like that came, or when I asked him to do homework, he wouldn't do it. He would do things in his class, he would do activities, but anything you tell him to do, he wouldn't do it. Anything that needs him to prove that he is a good child, like test, he wouldn't do it. So in the initially I had trouble getting him to do homework. So for the first time, I was also young, I was inexperienced. I took him to the principal, sat him down, talked about it, right? That boy, a little tiny boy, he maintained constant eye contact with me while I was talking about his class performance in a way which unsettled me. I can't explain that feeling. Even like 2, 3 days later, when I was talking to him in class, usually what happens, Ray, when you talk to a child about why didn't you do your homework, what's happening, tell me. Either they'll have their head bowed down or they'll be looking here and there, and children being children, they'll start being restless as well through a long conversation. This guy sat down, maintained constant eye contact with me. I was interested, I got to know him more. He came from a house, his single mother, single child. His mother was apparently a maid, and the guys listening to it cannot see my double coated fingers. Yeah, so his mother was apparently a maid, but later we found out that she basically is a sex worker. And men used to come in and out of the house all the time. And they used to stay in one room, so usually she used to either send him out or get him to sleep or whatever. And later we found out from our community workers as well ki obviously men going to sex workers, whatever things that you expect, there was certain degrees of violence, things like that that he had to see. And a child in class 3, maybe for years he has been seeing this, so he had a very different level of things going on in his head. Anytime, I think he was so immune to threats that me telling him not, why didn't you do his homework, did not affect him at all. He did not give a shit about it. So the more I got to know, the more I saw how hardened he was, how incapable of expressing any different kind of emotions other than look at somebody in a very threatening way. Helped him. Um, when I left when I left my teaching job there, I used to still see him here and there for next 2 years, so 4 years or so. Um, I didn't see a change in him, and I don't feel that our education system is still prepared to take on cases like this. So this is one of the example, and I can't tell you like.
But is it the responsibility of the education system to deal with all these psychological trauma and all of that?
Well, tell me about it. He has no infrastructure or environment at home to for this to be dealt with. Why do NGOs like these exist? Isn't it to help people? But I don't think everybody is equipped to help these kind of situations. Now I'm sure he's grown up. When he's grown up, who will help him cater to these kind of feelings that he is feeling? A
Hmm.
child like him is has maybe 70% more probability to do tend to criminal things than maybe a child who grows up in a normal household has.
Hmm.
I don't think the things that he's seeing from his childhood, he's also strong enough to handle that himself as well, right? In class 3, if you're already acting like that, you probably won't think about going to a psychologist and solving it yourself. You don't even have the money to do it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so, and I have seen a similar kind of case in a child who was in class 9. I had heard that he had a similar history, and I have also caught him um, stalking girls, as in, standing outside some girl children's window continuously, not taking a step, right? But he's just standing at the window staring inside. And as soon as somebody prompted, he just calmly walked away, not even ran away or something. He's not going inside the girl's house, he's not knocking, he's not calling the girl or something. He's just staring inside the window. And nobody's there to solve it. So, yeah, so children like this. And when I saw this show, I was just thinking how many of these kind of kids that we have dealt with, and I have no training, or 20 other teachers who were there in school had no training except that one child psychologist that was there in school.
And was that psychologist able to help anyone?
She was for sure, but these are some cases which needs more specialization. As we
Hmm.
see in adolescence, what happened? There, we always heard that there were three psychologists who were trying to help, but
Hmm.
they only showed one case because she was equipped to handle that, and still she was shaking in fear by the end of the episode because she was not able to handle it. So, to solve these kind of things, you need more trained, better people to help them out. Not everybody is equipped to help people out like that. And I'm just not saying just criminal activities. There are so many mental health problems that you need specialized people to deal with. It's not like it's 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 not that easy. It's quite complicated. It's not black and white.
Yeah, I also feel. No, I mean, I'm just mentioning something which I learned from another. Not learned, but it's an observation. There was this very famous show called Succession.
Oh, of course.
Have you
I know
seen
how
it?
much you love it. Of course,
Have you
I've seen
seen it?
it.
So, I mean, there was actually so much of analysis of the characters
Hmm.
that there was a special podcast about Succession episodes,
Yeah.
and there are two views about human nature. One is that you can modify their behavior by whatever means, therapy, better treatment, etc., incentives. And the second opinion is that like humans are doomed, like they are there and you can't save them, it's gone.
I think
Yeah.
I'm a believer of humans are doomed.
So, I mean, if you take that view, I don't think you can help certain kind of people. Like they are doomed in real terms. Like no matter how much of therapy you give them, they will somehow like none of your threats were hitting that guy, right? Like who was not doing his homework.
Please let me correct myself. I was not using threats.
Yeah, not
It
threats.
it could have been assumed as a threat to him. It
Yeah.
was a normal teacher behavior ki why didn't you do your homework?
Okay, let's say your authority was of no meaning to him,
Yeah,
right? Because I mean, he has been fundamentally destroyed from the inside by
true.
seeing whatever is happening in his
Hmm.
home. Um, so I feel that there are limitations to what therapy can do, and
I don't
yeah,
I would slightly agree, but
hmm,
I don't think there are limitations to what therapy can do, because there are no limitations to what our minds can do. Right? You
hmm,
believe in that, right? There are no limitations to what our minds can
yeah,
do. So I don't think there are limitations to what therapy can do. I think it's difficult to find what you're looking for.
Hmm.
And humans are doomed. Well, that would be a different podcast altogether because I love me some dystopian stuff.
Hmm.
Even in Succession, if you think Roman's character,
Yeah,
right? He had, except the part that he was filthy rich, he had all the criminal tendencies that you can think of.
yeah,
He definitely had crazy criminal tendencies. Why he was not doing it? Because he had a PR team. He was scared of his father, and he had a lot of money. Even if he did some criminal activities, he can get away with it.
yeah. I mean, that's a good segue to what I wanted to talk about next. The whole idea of parenting itself. Like, obviously, I mean, a large number of women these days say they don't want to have kids at all.
Hmm.
I mean, that's their choice. But for whoever wants to be a parent, like it feels as though they're having too many variables to deal with.
Right.
And even if they have a child, and even if they give the child the best education, never hit the child, give them all the access to extracurricular activities, stable family, stable income, etc., etc., you still can't assure that the child will turn out fine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it looks like no one is talking about training these parents, because we have all of this skill development, that this jobs.
Parent training school.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, would it help, or is it even required, or is it just like children develop on their own and you have no control over it?
I don't. Let's start with the last part of it. I don't think children develop on their own. This is my point of view because I think what I am today is because of my parents at a younger age, and then the people that I surrounded myself with at an older age. Children, we, it's a very simple thing that I believe in. We should not tell the children what to think or what to do. We should always tell the children or make the child equipped with how to think or how to do things, right?
Hmm.
You understand the difference.
But yeah, even
It's,
after you teach, yeah, go
huh?
ahead.
No, I understand. So it's, I believe it's simple as you don't tell the child ki, oh, you have to believe in God. You tell the child basically ki, this is what God means, this is what faith means, and now you think about it, what you want to do with it. But having said that, it's not that black and white. You and me not being parents, we will never understand the full extent of it.
Yeah.
But we can see our childhood and see how much our parents played role in what we are today. And I would just say that today there are so many variables. One person should take the decision of popping up a child only when they know they can do their best,
Hmm.
because a child, at least till they are 7, 8, 10 years old, they are completely your responsibility, like 120%. Maybe after 10 years old, a school, a friend, they also start having some kind of influence on that child.
Hmm.
But before that, it's completely on that parent. If you think you're well equipped, if you think you can give him or her the emotional best, the educational best, the sports best, or whatever you think, that is completely your decision. A school, I don't think a curriculum would work, right? Because everybody
Yeah.
has different things.
Yeah, I think that's why there is some saying, it takes a village to bring up a child
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
But even then, in case of Jamie, the character in this
Hmm.
show, like, I'm sure hundreds of people would have told him killing is not a good thing, murder is not a good thing.
But why would somebody particularly say that killing would is not a good thing? Is
It is a
11 year 12
crime.
year old child?
It is a crime.
Do you think that discussion would ever have happened
Why not?
at 12 years old? Were you talking about murders and killings?
Like, you would have seen something in the news or
Hmm.
something.
If it was
But the
US,
idea of crime would have been known by
idea
that
of
age.
crime, yeah, maybe, or what is wrong, what is right, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean that is one thing. Uh, and the second one was there was a thought in my mind.
Do you think when you saw all the four episodes,
Hmm.
do you think he knew in the beginning, before all the talking started happening, that what he did was wrong?
Like in my perception, he was not even ready to accept that he has done
Yeah.
something,
Or
uh,
something wrong, per se.
something wrong, and he was not even sure. He didn't even check whether she was dead or not,
Yeah.
and he was like continuously asking, "Is she
It
dead?"
was it was just an extension of the threat that his friend encouraged him to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was totally possessed or whatever. I don't know what is the mental state of the guy.
I think he did not come to terms with it.
Yeah, so it feels like he showed no remorse as well. I
Yeah.
mean, till the very end,
Oh, yes.
it felt like he was normal but only slightly, agitated, or his routine was going on as it was. It's just that he was in a jail or something of that sort.
I think in the last episode, in that voice call that he made to his father,
Uh,
there was a hint of acceptance, but
yeah.
definitely not remorse.
Yeah, he was saying, Dad, I will just accept, I'll just plead guilty. That's
Yeah.
what he said.
That is what is best for everything that is going around.
Yeah, maybe someone told him his jail term would be lesser or
Yeah.
something of that.
Yeah.
But the father is actually more apologetic than the child himself because
Oh,
he goes
yes.
and he keeps a bouquet near the
Hmm.
place, right? And I think the father feels more grief than the child for doing whatever he did.
That was ought to happen, right? Because a parent is always guilty about the things that their children do, especially the extreme things that the children do. It totally comes on them. The society will say ki it's the parents' fault. It's never a child's fault.
Hmm.
Have you ever had problems with children in your area or something, or maybe your apartment or something like that? Small problems. I'm not talking about big problems. A child comes, throws something at your window, goes away, things like that.
Yeah, during Holi, the kids were all throwing all this
Do
water.
you do you if it's a small child, do
Hmm.
you think or say ki, oh, why is the child like this? We always have this instant thing ki, oh, how can the parents raise a child like that?
Yeah.
That's society for you.
Yeah, I saw an extreme version of that in my own home itself.
Hmm.
Like, me and my brother were diametrically opposite.
Hmm.
Like, we went to the same school, we were taught by the same teachers. Uh, but yeah, I mean, there were some differences in both of our situations, but I was doing extremely well in the academic sense, and my brother was struggling so much, like he had to stay back in a few classes couple of times,
Hmm.
and I mean, I don't know how it affected him, but definitely a very huge blow to the confidence of the child. I mean, the younger version of my brother. Like, it was the same environment, same set of tools. Maybe there were some different. He definitely got a lot of help, and he's much better now. And we are also on much better terms. I was actually, just using a brutal logic that you're not trying enough or you're not doing enough. Like, I had no,
You lacked emotional intelligence. That's what you want to say.
yeah, I lacked it, but now I feel I'm much better.
Hmm.
Um,
So you had that growth, and you also had the environment that let you have that growth.
yeah, so I mean, Jamie, I don't know, like he's absolutely having no regrets, no remorse at all till the very end.
Let's see what happens in the second season. You know that
What
it has
is there a
been,
second season?
oh yeah, it has been renewed. They
Oh,
are still exploring what to do, but yeah, let's see about the remorse part. Because I think, at least from all the therapy sessions that I have gone to, and I'm sure you will also have insights about it.
Mm,
It is the first stage is acceptance when something happens,
yeah,
and then the remorse, the guilt, and the other stages come.
yeah.
So maybe acceptance was the starting path for him. You never know.
Hmm. Oh, maybe he's getting therapy in the jail as well.
He obviously will. Juvenile systems come with that
Hmm.
because he still has the scope of molding. He is not a hardened criminal per se.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, talking about services in the prison, etc., etc. Like I was also telling you about how I'm so impressed with the way in which the legal system has been portrayed.
Yeah.
Like they had hardcore evidence, right? And like they could have done anything to this child, but they followed all the procedures to the T. I don't know if it is just shown on the screen.
I don't think it's just shown on the screen, but fun part in this, I was reading up about it, and I completely believe that it would have been a different scenario if it was a colored child.
Hmm.
It's a white kid.
Okay.
First of all, the story that it is inspired from, the series, it is not a copy from the story, but the story that it's inspired from was a colored child,
Hmm.
and what happened with the rest of the things was completely different from what they show in the TV, the series. Like I said, it's not an adaptation, but the inspiration.
Hmm.
I think it would have been different. If it was a colored child, even though the detective was not colored, but the whole system, how they would have treated, would have been completely different. But let's not bring racism into it. I think that would be a
That is
whole.
also hypothetical, but anyway, we there
Racism is hypothetical.
no hypothetical in the context of this story.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
child is white. The police officer was not white. I'm sure they would have chosen the casting as well, to make it more
Yeah,
race
yeah,
inclusive and
obviously.
all of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know,
The child was such a great actor for the first time acting that people would have forgotten about race
yeah.
while selecting that child.
But if at all something happened in India like this, do you think they would have followed any of these procedures?
If they were rich.
They would have just, pulled that kid out of the school and beaten him on the way, and some
Yeah.
camera would have caught him.
Depends on which school he was getting pulled out of. If it was Ambani World School or if it was municipality school. Um, India, any kind of procedural systems in our justice and police systems don't work similarly, first of all, and second of all, it wouldn't have had such intrinsic detailed systems. Yes, I'm not saying it's zero. There would have been things because juvenile systems are much more safeguarded per se than adult systems, but still it wouldn't have been so much.
But the show invests a significant amount of time in this procedural things, right?
Absolutely.
Like there's a community worker along with the child.
Those things will be followed here.
Then there is in when he goes, his rights are told. Then he's gonna
That
go
thing will
to
also be followed here.
blood checkup.
Yeah.
Then he is given food.
Hmm.
Then evidence is
I
collected.
think
That's so
that's
much.
where it will start faltering. I
But
think community worker calling the parents, everything would have worked because otherwise you basically lose the case if
uh,
those things are not followed. But when it comes to food and protection and things like that, that's when in India it would have started faltering.
even the evidence collection,
Evidence collection.
they would have just beaten up the kid right from the beginning. That is what
True,
I feel.
true. In the
Because
presence of a social worker, maybe. No, nothing to laugh about, but
and even the public would be baying for the blood of the child.
absolutely. Public is crazy. Okay, one of the things that happened in adolescence, if you saw, everybody was trying to keep public away, the media away. It did not happen, but they at least tried. Here, somebody
Yeah.
would have come and done a press conference.
No, not just press conference. When the child is going to the court, coming out, or when he's arresting, there will be
Yeah,
hundreds of cameras
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
sensationalization of the
yeah.
entire thing.
Even without sensationalization of the entire thing, it
Uh,
went bad for the family eventually, we could see.
uh,
So think about what will happen in a scenario where there is like Aaj Tak special coverage on it.
yeah, I mean, in the last episode, when the family is, coping with all of this, someone comes and paints something on his vehicle,
Yeah,
and the girl is also like silently absorbing all the impact of whatever her brother did. Um, like it's not like they were fully immune, but at least they didn't come on the TV. I mean, he did come in a newspaper, I guess.
newspaper, I think, yeah. He was not fully immune. In today's world, you cannot be, right?
Yeah,
But
but
talking about in today's world, you cannot be immune. That's exactly what happened to Jamie and his classmates. They were listening to Andrew Tate and stuff like that. And that is
oh yeah,
exactly where it started going wrong.
yeah. I mean, Andrew Tate is one part of it, and the second part was, Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
The projection you need to have for society.
and recently in the newspapers and all the boards on the roads, you can see Instagram for teens.
Yeah.
They have put some feature like protection, whom you can see this, that.
Advertisement protections
I
as
don't
well.
know if it is a result of adolescence.
No, no, it started happening before that. So it started happening actually just like a quick concept. It started happening actually this kind of protection when a lot of this beauty companies, plastic surgery companies, and all started targeting ads to teenagers.
Hmm.
So it actually came from there, this whole movement about having a social media restriction for teenagers. Because you probably cannot, you shouldn't ask teenagers to change how they look. That will
Hmm.
lead to more insecurity. And there was a whole movement regarding that. So it actually started from something as innocent as cosmetics.
Hmm.
But now that we see that it needs more filtration.
Yeah. And on top of that, I mean, I do find this funny, though a large amount of our conversation was about, parenting and school and all of these things. But the woman who got killed, she gets, I don't know, literally 5-10 minutes of screen time. That's
Hmm.
all, I guess.
Hmm.
Nothing beyond that.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. What was the point of the show then?
What?
Where was the focus? Because there's a close friend of hers.
The focus was on why.
The why, I understood the why.
Huh.
Whether it is on the male gender or the, whatever incel, whatever, what was the other word?
Incel. You're
Yeah.
right.
Was it about
Involuntary
the
celibate.
involuntary celibate? Yeah. So the focus was on incel culture, is it?
The focus was on the culture that this hyper masculine social media is providing.
Mm,
Incel culture is also, by the way, kind of born out of this hyper masculinity thing only. So, all this bro podcasts that they have, Andrew Tate and people like that, they
mm,
talk about how you have to be a man
mm,
and how you have to be masculine to do everything, including to get the attention of women, etc., etc., to get a job, to make money, and things like that.
mm.
And in turn of events, women also started believing that men who are not getting any, hence the word involuntary celibate, are
Yeah.
also not men.
So where is the way out then? Like, it seems like there's a log, you
The
know.
way out is to blow up the Meta office.
Oh, we are calling for terrorism.
No, no, no. Have you seen that movie Purge? Purge Anarchy.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh my God. I think, when you believe that humanity is doomed kind of situation, we should all go back and watch that movie. The
Hmm.
whole idea of that movie is basically so everybody follows rules, laws, and tries to be an upstanding citizen, try to do minimum criminal activity and all. But our world is not like that, right? The more you make laws, the more people try to do unlawful activities. So
Hmm.
the concept of that movie is the society is almost 0% crime rate. The society is excellent. Everything is thriving economically, reproductively, whatever you talk about. Climate is excellent because every year there is this one day of purging.
Hmm.
What does that mean? For 24 hours, government completely shuts down. People have free will to do anything. No law, nothing. Next day, you cannot prosecute them for anything. So people go crazy.
It's
People,
like free hit.
and it's like free hit. People do anything. I think that movie is an excellent watch if you believe in the fact that humanity is doomed and how to cure it.
No, the have you seen Kingsman? Kingsman was also
Yeah.
about this only.
Yeah, but then Purge is like a gory take on this, to be honest. But I think it's a definite watch, and I love these kind of concepts, these kind of alternative concepts.
But all of this makes me think about the fundamental point we started with, which was insecurity.
Hmm.
Like all of us are insecure about something or the other,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
And then Instagram and
How
internet just scales it and
how
broadcast.
will how will products make money without having some kind of insecurity? You are a product manager. What kind of insecurity are you feeding on?
Yeah, the fact that we don't have jobs in India.
Exactly. Or we are not capable enough to get jobs without doing
Yeah,
that fancy degree.
yeah. But it's broadcasting of insecurity at scale. Like we didn't have it when we were growing up as teenagers or adolescents.
Insecurity? I think
No,
we
it
had it,
wasn't
we
there
did
on
not
the
know
internet.
about it.
No, it wasn't there at a like a internet level.
Yeah.
Like it was still data was still expensive. Like we were not having internet. I was not having a desktop still.
Hmm. I
Uh,
had a desktop. I used to use MS Paint on it. I think my insecurity, my maximum insecurity at that time would have been that I am fat.
hmm,
But how does me being fat affect me in different ways? I did not know because social media was not there.
yeah, you didn't know about all the other hot girls in Kolkata through
I
Instagram.
knew my friends, but I was not threatened by them
Uh,
because they were my friends and I did not know the implications of being fat in my future life. Because social media was not telling me to do 75 hard challenge to lose weight and look more attractive.
hmm. But I don't know. Like this might be just another fad, like something which blows up, like that Tare Zameen Par, and after that there was no talk about children with special abilities or.
I think in certain circles the conversations will always exist,
Hmm,
but as a public fad, if you are talking about, these things die down.
yeah, I think art of any form is just like reflecting some things which we would have probably ignored,
Hmm.
and we continue to ignore it, I guess.
I mean, I don't blame people who ignore things. I also ignore a lot of things which are convenient for me to ignore. Why the hell should we care about everything? What we have so many things. We are basically each and everybody of us is struggling to make something of ourselves
Yeah.
or struggling to make ends meet or struggling to make our personal lives better or struggling to make our parents' lives better. We should cater to ourselves first. I don't blame people who leave India to make a future life.
Mm.
Like, do whatever is the best for you. If it is ignoring dark topics like this, go ahead. Why not? There will be some person who will be thinking about topics like this throughout. That's their career. I work in the education sector. My whole career is to how to make students' lives better.
Yeah, but even if we don't do such big education related thinking,
Hmm.
at least mental health awareness could probably be better. Because you know what? Wh- I mean, I felt that my mom needed therapy at some point of time. And I told her, why don't you get therapy? Because you really need it.
Huh.
Then she got very angry and she said, do you think I'm mental? Look, this guy is telling me to go to mental hospital. But that is not the suggestion. It's about like, I mean, for context, I myself went for 15 months of therapy and finally the therapist said I didn't need it. So there are things which can be fixed and they're not being fixed because
But
there's no
the
awareness.
general awareness is lacking, right? If
Yeah,
you go and tell one unaware person that, hey, you need therapy, obviously they'll get defensive. First, you need to
yeah.
kind of tell them what it is about. Because, come on, in Indian middle class society, therapy or mental health is associated with madness. Oh, you go
Yeah,
to Rachi to the mental hospital if you're mad. And if you have a little bit more money, you go to Nimans.
yeah. I mean, at least this much art can do, create some awareness about something.
Oh, for sure. I think at least I would say in our country, let's not talk about the countries that we don't know about,
Yeah.
but at least in our country, movies are the best place to increase awareness. And mainstream movies would be the best to do it, but that wouldn't make a profit. So there is a lot of parallel cinema. Tare Zameen Par was one of the mainstream movies which did that, but there's a lot of parallel cinema which tries to do it, but obviously mass wouldn't watch it. But
Hmm.
movies are one of the best mediums to mm, do any kind of awareness. This recent movie, Mrs.
Ah,
There was such a hue and cry about that movie, right? Women were like, finally something has happened, some movie has happened in the mainstream Bollywood that talks about these things. And men were like, oh, if she doesn't wash dishes, who will do it? But there was some discussion, some publicity around it. And movies have the power to do that. Once upon a time, radio had the power to do that.
yeah. I think we covered a lot of things, right from education, school.
I think this discussion will never end if we keep continuing.
Yeah. So, is there anything which you wanted to add beyond whatever we talked about? Something which struck you?
Maybe quickly we can talk about a little bit more about the third episode because I
Yeah.
think that is the shock value of the whole
Yeah. I
series.
mean, um, first of all, I'm amazed by the fact that a therapist is being sent to analyze the child.
Hmm.
And I don't know if her analysis was positive. I mean, like, I don't know what other analysis she could have done or what her report said.
But let's not talk about the analytical approach here. Let's talk about basically the chemistry between both of them. What
Mm.
do you think? And here I am questioning the podcaster again and again, the main podcaster.
Uh,
What do you think? What was going on between both of them?
I think, as you said, the overall theme itself is about insecurity, right?
Hmm.
The guy Jamie, he was already his confidence was battered because he was not handsome, he was not being picked by girls, and he had failed in several physical activities which were manly. And then finally, this girl, she shoots down his confidence further, and he takes a revenge on her by killing her. And after that, he gains a certain kind of confidence, which, strange as it sounds, he realizes that he has a certain kind of power which he had not used till that point of time. And then when he sees one more woman trying to put him in his place, or rather control him or telling him something, like that vengeance comes out. Whatever he was bottling, whatever he had bottled up, and the first wave of it was killing of the girl. and these are subsequent waves which reveal, like, he was not able to show this face in front of a police officer because it was a man. He was guarded, he had a gun, like there he can't do anything. But this is an unarmed woman who is, you know probably considered as a weaker sex in his own interpretation of all this gender relations. It comes back.
But there is also this side that you see in the episode, even though he is, let's say, harsh towards the woman, but he's at the same time seeking validation from her.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's like, am I good looking? Do you like me? So he was not able to deal with what he wants to think.
Yeah, he still had the dormant desire to be admired, uh, but since it was not coming naturally, like, he tried to extract it using fear.
Yeah.
And then when he realized it's not working, then he was once more disappointed with himself.
Yeah, at the end of everything, he was again and again disappointed with himself. If you see, when we talked a lot about not feeling remorse or not accepting it throughout the series, but we also see that he was definitely disappointed with himself with every stage of things.
Hmm.
He was disappointed with himself to start with when they showed the video and he couldn't do anything about it because it was on his face. And
Yeah.
he was also disappointed when he started acting aggressive with the therapist. He was also disappointed what he's putting his father through.
Yeah.
So he was continuously disappointed. So all in all, you see that he was basically not able to handle his own feelings. So it all got mixed up somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any parallel world where this kid would get better, unless,
You are a true pessimist.
yeah. I mean, I can sort of relate to this child, because I think I have had many insecurities, but I try to compensate for them in a different manner. Like, even when I started this podcast, you also heard and you gave me that feedback that I was always feeling that my voice is not so good.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was continuously saying that myself. But later I dropped it because no one was mentioning it other than myself.
I'm sure you would
Yeah,
have felt very different in a case if in a podcast of yours in the beginning someone came and told you ki your voice is not sounding good.
actually, in my office, someone told me that.
But you
Like,
had a
I,
different feeling about it, right? When you said it yourself that your
yeah,
voice doesn't sound good, and when
yeah,
somebody else told you, you have a different feeling about it.
yeah, because I made some training or guide video how to sign up on my product, and like three, four people told me your voice was bad and they laughed at me.
Hmm.
Then I sort of internalized it to a certain extent. Though I can't like sound like a baritone or a singer or whatever it is, but the content of that video was still good.
Hmm.
But anyway, I internalized it, and similarly, I probably internalized several other things. But I didn't let it, overshadow my mind.
Hmm.
Like, I tried to compensate for it
That
by
is your
doing
own
something else.
strength.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
that was my probably coping mechanism or whatever it is. And that is probably missing in this child.
Hmm.
Like, if someone told him he was, not attractive, then he can just ignore and do something which makes himself feel that he is good. I mean, that approach was probably not known to the child.
How will that child know? He's just 12 years old. All he knows is what Instagram told him to know.
Yeah. I mean, he can know through consuming information from other sources.
I don't think, again, you will have more knowledge about it as somebody who works in the consumer sector,
Yeah.
that I don't think right things are targeted to people. Consumerism, capitalism is targeted to people. Right things you have to dig up yourself.
Yeah, I mean, lot of marketing material is around the 7 different vices, right? I don't know what these are, like lust.
Gluttony.
gluttony, and
Sinful cookies. You're
yeah.
attaching sin to it.
And then yeah, I can't list all the seven whatever vices, but advertisement is to drive action, to tingle your insecurity and make you spend on overcoming that.
Yeah.
For the longest time, Fair and Lovely has been doing this to us.
They trigger the insecurity and then they try to market products out of it. So, and
Yeah.
if you even when we look for the right information, now that both of us are living in a society where we kind of know, we mix around with people and we kind of know what is right, what is wrong,
Hmm.
we try to dig the right information. Cannot expect a child to do that. He will consume the information that they are targeted with. Or say our parents' generation, why do we talk about this WhatsApp university kind of thing?
Yeah.
Because that is targeted to them. They are not digging for information.
Hmm. No, WhatsApp is more of like viral information. Like,
But it's similar, right? To provoke
uh,
an emotion that you shouldn't have.
yeah. Now government is also running WhatsApp campaigns.
Just before voting, government starts running WhatsApp campaigns, even if I don't vote in the city.
Yeah. I went to Gujarat.
Hmm.
I went to Maharashtra or Gujarat only once, and somewhere I've given my number. Even today, I get campaigns about Maharashtra government.
See,
Yeah,
I think um
I think it was Pune or something.
yeah, I think there is so much to talk about these things, and I think each of these topics would require you not only one episode of podcast, but a lot of series and books associated with it.
Yeah.
But I think movies and series like this have the power of doing the right thing, telling people the right thing, and I really, really ask people to consume the right kind of things. I love me some masala movies and I love me some dramatic reality shows, but also
Mm.
like try to consume the right things which educate you about things that you can tell the other people to too about, right? So I think my final request to your listeners would be not only to consume the right things but also make other try to make other people aware about the right things and stop mansplaining.
Yeah, I think on that funny note, like, please stop mansplaining. And, thank you for this fun conversation. So,
Definitely, and thank you for calling me.
cool then. Bye, guys. And if you have not watched Adolescence, do watch it.
It's
And
on Netflix. If you Netflix has currently stopped password sharing, so you can download it from torrent.
yeah,
Thank you
wow.
so much.
Bye.